I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is PsycHacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is Women Win This Dating Game. Apologies for the clickbaity title, but here you are. So, what game am I referring to in the title of this episode? Very simply, the dating game that women win is serial monogamy. In fact, they win in a big way relative to men, which is why I'm consistently baffled when men choose to play this game in the dating market. The real kicker here has to do with this little visual aid, which I'll come back to near the end of the episode. The reason why women win the game of serial monogamy is that it is far easier for the average woman to enter into a new relationship at the end of an existing one than it is for a man to do the same. There are three main reasons why this is the case. First and foremost, women initiate far more breakups than men do. According to the research, women initiate between 60 and 70% of all breakups and divorces. And because statistics can be a little baffling, this basically means that women break up with men twice as often as men break up with women. That's a significant difference, twice as often. And this is important because whereas some guys might see the writing on the wall, the person doing the breaking up always sees it coming. Think about it in the context of work. The employer who is doing the firing always knows exactly when it's going to go down. Whereas the employee, even if he's on a performance improvement plan, might not know exactly when the axe is going to drop. And keep in mind that no matter how frustrating or low performing that employee is, that employer is unlikely to cut that employee loose while he is still necessary. Like in the middle of a project whose success would otherwise be compromised. So firing is always on the employer's terms, and it will occur when it is convenient for the employer doing the firing, not the employee being fired. Therefore, since women break up with men far more often, they have time to prepare against its coming. This generally means that they begin to get themselves ready for re-entry into the sexual marketplace before leaving their pre-existing relationship. This could mean going to the gym to lose a few pounds. This could mean starting new activities, which expose her to new social groups with new potential mating opportunities. She might not be doing anything that constitutes an overt betrayal. However, a woman who has decided that a termination is impending will put herself in a position to act on the preparations that she has made against this happening. On the other hand, the guy is often just left there holding his dick. This is the first reason why women get into a new relationship faster than men do. Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, then please consider sending this episode to someone who might benefit from its message. It's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to grow the channel. And also, if you're thinking about going to grad school, be sure to check out my top-rated GRE self-study program at stellargre.com. You can use the coupon code PSYCH for 10% off all membership plans. Now, the second reason is that women often have potential mates on the periphery of their lives. These could be coworkers or yoga buddies or friends of friends. They are men in her ambit where there is some acknowledged attraction that hasn't yet been acted upon. It's actually fairly common for women to have plan Bs, if not plan Cs, Ds, Es, Fs, and Gs, while she's still in her primary relationship. And women are generally allowed to do this socially because the standards for infidelity really revolve around overt sexuality. So as long as it's look but don't touch, as long as she acknowledges that she's in a relationship currently, a woman can keep options warm that can potentially be acted upon in the future. This allows her to strike up a new relationship quickly as there are men waiting in her proverbial wings. On the other hand, most men do not enjoy optionality with women. This means that they often don't have a backup plan, even if they wanted one. That's the second reason. And the third reason why it's easier for women to get into a new relationship than it is for men is that men's standards for entering into a relationship are, across the board, significantly lower than women's standards for the same. Most men, I hate to say it, but it's true, most men will have whoever will have them. And if she's cute and willing to have sex with him and doesn't cause too many problems, men are generally willing to entertain the possibility of a relationship. On the other hand, women have and are encouraged to have much higher standards for their potential mates and dates. So even if a man wanted to get into a new relationship right away, he would run up against the unforgiving gatekeeping of women's standards. So that's reason number 3. So women win the game of serial monogamy. Who cares? Why is this important? Well, that brings me to my aforementioned visual aid, which is really the nail in the coffin. The 20s are a special time for both men and women. While everyone is on his or her own path, the average age at first marriage in the US is 28 for women and 30 for men. So the decade of your 20s is your prime dating period. Let's say that it takes about 6 months to determine whether a relationship has long-term potential. In my opinion, that's the bare minimum amount of time necessary to do some due diligence. Let's also say that it takes a woman 1 month after a relationship ends to get into a new relationship, whereas it takes a man 6 months after a relationship ends to get into a new relationship. Here's what that would look like over the course of 10 years. The red lines being periods of time spent within a committed relationship. As you can see, there are far more red lines in the women's graph than in the men's graph. In fact, the women have 17 to the man's 10. This means that given the relative speed with which a woman can enter into a new relationship, women get 70% more chances of finding a partner for themselves across this particularly sensitive period of their lives than men do. Let's be honest, there's a huge amount of luck in the dating game. It's often a question of being in the right place at the right time. In some respects, dating is like one of those claw games at an arcade. The more attempts you make, the more likely you'll eventually pull out a prize. And if a woman gets 17 attempts for every 10 that a man gets, it's much more likely that a woman is going to end up with a relationship over the course of a decade that serves her needs and interests than a man is. Do you understand? This is why men lose the game of serial monogamy. It's not in their best interests with respect to securing a long-term relationship that actually matches with their values, goals, and their purpose in life. It's a long episode, but an important topic. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've gotten this far, you might as well like this episode and subscribe to the channel. You may also consider becoming a channel member with perks like priority review of comments or booking a paid consultation. As usual, thank you for listening.